should you sell your first few single family rentals, maybe because you're ready to, I don't know, upgrade to some apartments, or should you just keep them forever? Well, every person that I've ever talked to that has owned any sort of real estate in their life has always regretted selling every single house that they've sold, mostly if they were obviously in like a decent area, not in war zones, right? So for that reason, I kind of set my mind to I will never sell any sort of house that I buy, mostly houses that are rentals and they're performing. Maybe I'll sell my house, right? But like houses I live in. But as far as like long term, as far as like my rentals go, I will never sell them. And probably even when I have like thousands of apartments, I'll probably still own my single families. And here's why. The way I look at it, right, and it might be right, might be wrong, whatever. It's just how I look at it. If I sell a house, I have to pay taxes on it, right? Because deposits have gone up, appreciation, all this other stuff that's been an investment, right? I would much rather just pull the equity out of the house, keep it performing, keeping it getting me rent, and by the time I pull that equity and do like a cash out refinance, that money is probably going to be the same as if I were to sell it, pay taxes, and end up with nothing compared to refinance and get my money out, right? So essentially, you're left with the same stack of money, but in one instance, you have the stack of money and you still have a property that gets you rent. In the other instance, you just have a stack of money and you pay the government a bunch of money. When you do a cash out refinance, you don't pay taxes on that money, right? Which is sweet. So that's kind of how I look at it. Plus, if you look at inflation, and not inflation, but like the housing market from like, let's say like the 50s until today, if you look at it to an inflation adjusted chart, prices have gone up like 2 times, right? So if the median house price was like 170, now it's like worth like 340, whatever. But if you look at the not based off of inflation, so like imagine you bought a house, imagine you had, so houses in the 50s were like $15,000, right? Which is crazy. So imagine in the 1950s that you bought a house for 15,000, and that same house now 50 something years later is worth, I don't know, 340. That's crazy. Right? Those aren't like real numbers, but just like to think about, that's kind of like what happened. So why would you ever, let's just say you had the $15,000 back in 1950, and you'd probably be balling in 1950 with that much money if you just had it chilling. But anyway, if you left that money and just let it sit in a bank account, you would essentially still have $15,000 today, which that's dumb, right? But if you bought a house with it, and obviously the house paid you rent for 60 something years, then now you would probably made, I don't even know how much money over 60 years of renting a house out, up until today, and you would have a $340,000 house. Again, these are just rough numbers, but I guess for the sake of this video, I am never going to sell any house that I ever buy, because whenever I need money for a bigger and better deal, I'll just do a cash out refinance. And since I have a property management company, why not hold on to that property if it's performing, if it's doing well, if it's a nice house, right? It's not like I'm going to not buy nice houses, right? I'm going to buy houses that I think are in good areas, and I think that will be continue to be nice houses for a long time because I take care of the rentals, right? So that's just kind of how I look at it. Same thing with like the little apartments we buy. Why not keep those forever, right? If they work, if the numbers work, and you have the right management in place, and you can pull equity out of them, why not keep them and keep stacking until you have, whatever your goal is. So that's just kind of how I look at it. Again, refinancing, cash out refinances, you just get the money out, you get your equity out, and you don't pay taxes on that money, where if you sold it, you would end up paying taxes on that. And obviously there's like all these tax tricks you can do, but for the sake of this video, easy squeezy, lemon peasy example, pay taxes, don't pay taxes between selling and cash out refinance. So that's what I'm doing, and we'll see if it works, but I think it's going to work out pretty well. So if you have any questions, drop them below. And if you're doing it differently, let me know. And if you've sold a house and now you regret it, also let me know. And we'll see which comments we have more of. The people that regret selling the house, or the people that did sell the house and did not regret it. So with that, have a good night, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm taking donations for a button, by the way, because this is just ridiculous.